I'll call to order the Franklin County Board of Commissioners meeting for Wednesday, July 12th.
Commissioner Howard?
Present.
Vice Chair Renaud?
Present.
Chair Waymeyer?
Present.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Present.
Commissioner Dunn?
Present.
If you'd please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance, remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let's pray. Almighty God, our Father in heaven, we come to you in prayer at this time. We just appreciate the opportunity for this, to be enjoying this nice summer day that you've blessed us with. We appreciate the opportunity to be together and discuss the various concerns of these citizens here in the county. We appreciate the men who have been chosen to represent us, and we ask for their minds and hearts to be open to the suggestions or the petitions of these individuals. We pray for their integrity as they make decisions that are for the best interest of our county, and we just appreciate all the blessings you give us, Father. We thank you for the opportunity to live in a nation which we live in, and the blessings that we have in spite of the sometimes difficult times we face, sometimes the challenges that we face, and the disopinions that we maybe have with some of the decisions that are made. We pray that we can work together and improve our county, our city, our nation, our state. Just guide us as we make decisions, and we pray that they're according to your will, Father. In our Lord and Savior Jesus' name, we pray. Amen.
Thank you. Thank you. All right, next up is correspondence and organizational business, and the first item under there is the presentation of the Lifeline, Mission Lifeline Gold Plus Award to the Franklin County EMS from the American Heart Association. Good morning.
Good morning. I'm Dieta Lee, a Franklin County resident and the Communications Director for the American Heart Association. It's a privilege to be here in my own community to present the Franklin County EMS with this award. Pre-hospital personnel are the first providers of care to patients suffering from cardiac emergencies. The role of EMS in the system of care for these patients is crucial and often sets the course for the patient's outcome. Understanding the key role EMS plays is a central element of Mission Lifeline. The American Heart Association is proud to present Franklin County EMS with the Mission Lifeline Gold Plus Award. Receiving this award shows a strong collaboration with the hospital. This award not only measures what you do for STEMI, but what happens to the patient after they arrive at the hospital. It is a system of care in practice. On behalf of the American Heart Association, thank you for your hard work and for your partnership.
Just a little bit of history on this award. I know most of you have heard me talk about the Mission Lifeline stuff that we've been working hard on. 3 years ago, we received a bronze. Last year, the silver. This year, we have received a gold. And it's not me that needs the credit for this. It's everybody standing in the back of the room without the people behind the scenes that have bought into this, lived this, consciously makes an effort every day to make sure we do the best care. That's what we're trying to do, and we're getting the recognition for it today. So thank you for your support on that, too.
You guys are getting recognition because you do a great job. Let's have everybody from the ambulance department come up and so we can congratulate them and take a picture.
Hey, Nick, those are awfully pretty shoes you have on there. I do. A call from you. Well, how are you? Keeping them all in line? It is. right? Rick, you're gonna disappear into the.
It looks so good. There you go.
That's what I'm talking about. Just to chime in too, as she said, the hospital's a big part of this too, the collaborative effort that we have with the hospital, with our stroke and STEMI programs, what makes us successful too. So I want to make sure I see Matt sitting there to put out the kudos to their people too.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Matt, do you want to have anything to say?
Yes, absolutely. Our EMS department here in our community is the strongest that I've ever had the opportunity to work with. And it's no surprise to me that they're receiving the awards that they receive. The staff are always amazing. They put patient care at the top of the list, and we have success story after success story because of the support that we have through our EMS program here in Franklin County. So on behalf of the hospital, we're ecstatic and want to support in the celebration of their success.
Great.
Thanks,
Thank you.
Matt.
Second item, under correspondence and organizational business, would it be consider proclaiming July 15th as a day of remembrance and a day of honor for the Vietnam veterans. This ties in with the traveling Vietnam Memorial Wall that will be in Paola, July 14th through the 16th.
We received correspondence from Paola. They're going to be hosting this memorial wall, and before you today is a proclamation honoring that, and Commissioner Dunn is planning on being there on Saturday for the opening ceremony. It's my understanding the wall will be set up on Friday, and there will be some events on Friday, but the opening will actually be Saturday.
Right. The proclamation reads, whereas the citizens of Franklin County and the United States of America live in freedom because of the contributions and personal sacrifices made by those who have served and by those now serving in the armed forces, and whereas our nation has fought and continues to fight battles around the world for the ideals of liberty and justice, the words of the first Veterans Day proclamation signed by President Eisenhower still ring true. Let us solemnly remember the sacrifices of all those who fought so valiantly on the seas, in the air, and on foreign shores to preserve our heritage of freedom. And let us reconcentrate ourselves to the task of promoting and enduring peace so that their efforts shall not have been in vain. And whereas we remember with somber and grateful hearts those who have served in the military with distinction and valor as sailors, soldiers, airmen, and Marines, and offer our sincere prayers to those who continue to defend the principles on which our nation was founded. And whereas we will endeavor to always honor the contributions and sacrifices of those who have over the years served in the military, both at home and abroad. And whereas Franklin County is proud to recognize our Vietnam veterans and extend the appreciation of our citizens to those who were killed and are missing in action. Sergeant Lawrence Dean Burgess of Ottawa, Lieutenant Junior Grade David Marin Christian of Lane, Private First Class, Dean Lee Grettencourt, thank you, of Richmond, Private First Class, Gary Arlen Hendrickson of Ottawa, Lance Corporal Jimmy Leroy Johnson Smith of Ottawa, Staff Sergeant Sammy Ray Winswell of Ottawa. Now therefore, Franklin County, Kansas, due does hereby proclaim July 15th as a day of remembrance and a day of honor, and encourage all citizens to observe and appreciate the sacrifices and contributions of our Vietnam veterans who fought for peace and defend democracy in our land and abroad. Signed this 12th day of July 2017. If we so wish to make a motion,
I'll make the motion, we approve the resolution.
and a second?
Second.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Thank you.
I
Right.
might just add, the wall is either a half size or three-quarter size of the one in Washington DC. They're gonna put it up at the American Legion Park in southeast Paola. And it'll be there over the weekend. And the opening ceremony is at 10 a.m. Saturday morning.
All right. Brings us to public comment,
Our first public comment is Luke Queen.
right? Good
Morning,
morning.
guys. I'm here today for Auto American Legion Baseball Committee. We had previously submitted a, letter application for the hotel tax benefit, and just wanted to kind of come in and reintroduce it as we're getting ready to host the state tournament here 26th through the 30th of the month. We're going to have, for this tournament alone, we're going to have 7 teams from across the state coming in, approximately 15 to 18 players per team, couple coaches, and then all the family and friends that come to watch the tournament. We're bringing in what we roughly figure is on a minimum about 150 room nights per day for 5 days throughout the tournament. We also have had a couple other tournaments, or we had a tournament at the beginning of the season and another weekend where we had a team from Newton come up and stay the weekend to participate, averaged in probably about 85 room nights at those 2 events combined. It costs us, the deal that we've worked out through the recreation and ourselves, it was $600 is what it costs us for field usage. We're coming to you to says we are an organization that gets those room nights, and that's what the tax is for, to help us out to supplement the cost of the field usage fees.
Several folks from, I'll just jump in, I kind of help you out. Several folks from American Legion had contacted me and thought that maybe we just didn't have all the information that maybe they thought we should. So I encouraged Luke or somebody to come and
It was,
this time to share with us maybe a few more so the statistics, facts they have
Yeah.
about the impact it does have on the community. So.
yeah, there-
Well, Luke, one thing we heard last time, that whenever funds were gave from the transient guest tax, there's a form to fill out after they receive the funds. And I think there was some funds last year gave out, and the form was never returned. Do you know anything about that?
I do not. Previous years, my father was in charge of our committee, and last year he stepped up into a higher rank. He's the chairman of the state baseball committee now. I don't know. I moved at the time, and between all of it, I don't know if it didn't get passed over to me, but I didn't know in previous years that there was a form to fill out after receiving any information. I didn't know.
Potentially be happy to do that. I
Oh,
mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
To clarify, the original request was for 1,500. That's because that was what, at that time, ORC was quoting you to rent the fields.
Yes,
But
yeah,
you ended
they
up
were-
settling on 600.
Yeah, they initially thought it was going to be more like the size of the wood bat tournament, which we usually have 12 to 16 teams at. It's only 8. We're only going to use 1 field instead of 2. So once we kind of ironed out the details of it, we settled on a cost is $600.
Is this a fundraiser? I mean, does it make money? Does it break you? Or do you use it as that? I mean, I know you charge an entry fee daily, maybe attend the games and so forth.
Yes, there is a daily gate fee that we do collect from. It does benefit us. We can get money financially, you know, we can benefit from it. We will make some money off of it. But it, you know, $600 to pay for the fields, the umpires, we house the umpires at the hotels here in town. We pay for that out of our pocket. That's where our benefit drops quite a bit as to what we will retain. And we are 100% completely privately funded. We have to do fundraisers. The boys do have a commitment fee of $350 that they have to pay. That covers roughly about 28% of what our budget is yearly.
Okay. Well, I think as Commissioner Howard had mentioned, I think if we had the financial statement to come along with what we asked for the other partners, that would certainly help from my standpoint of seeing that too.
Okay, absolutely.
I could go along with what we're talking here more than the 1,500. I think we're getting down to where several others, we gave 300 to that same day, fairs in the county and so forth, so.
All right. Would maybe towards the end of our agenda be a more, if we were going to take action on this,
I mean, he's up here now. If someone wants to make a motion,
it's all the same, all right? You don't have any?
that's perfectly okay.
All right. Would anyone, I guess, like to make a motion to use $600 of TGT funds to support this event for the field rental?
Well, there's no question that it will bring a lot of guest tax money to us. I'll make that motion.
Second.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
No.
Commissioner Dunn?
I'll say yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Oh, Chair Waymire.
Yes.
Yeah, well, you get 2 votes.
All right.
Thank you guys for your time. I appreciate it.
Thanks for your time, Luke. All right.
Our next is Jean Hurt.
Morning, Commissioners.
Morning, Gene.
Gene Hurt, 107 Jefferson Street in Pomona, Kansas. Okay. I attended the Pomona Council meeting back on July the 3rd, and I think there's some things that need to be addressed here today and from that meeting. Now, the first item they had on there, the city clerk brought up on wanting a new printer, because they have 2 printers that they do, one for bills and one for other documents. And the one that the city clerk was wanting cost $2,500. Well, the council didn't like that. They want 2 bids to come back to them for them to approve or not on a printer. Now, the hearing on the sewer we're going to have with B&G Associates, because as you know, Pomona's got a real problem with the sewer system in Pomona, of the cost of being $4.33 million. Staggering. And they've been told they should have done this about 7 years ago, but they didn't do it. And now the state is after them now to get this done. And so that hearing, first part's going to be on July the 21st at 6 p.m. They hired a number 2 public works person, paying him $18 an hour. On the temporary electric renewals, they're going to renew that at $80 to $200 per new houses. The budget hearing for 2018 for 5 years will be on August the 7th at 6:30 p.m., which is the next meeting for the city council. The healthcare park equipment, they want to do something with that they have. Also, the library increase budget was 1.5, but they're going to go over that issue because the city clerk thinks that we need to do something to do with double chip our streets again. Well, see, last year they did the streets, double chipped it. And it ain't even been a year old. And now potholes this big and that deep already. So, you know, they didn't do it right the first time, and I don't see that they'll do it right the second time either. And there's a lot of people that feel that way. Then they got the electric write-off. They got 3 years of removing of bills due. What they've had bills that hadn't been paid for over 3 years, so they agreed to allow those not to be paid. And with that, that's all I have. Thank you.
Is that it for public comment? All right, that brings us to our consent agenda, which today would include considering and approving the minutes for our meeting on June 28th, our study session on June 10th, and claim vouchers in the amount of $314,900.76, and a special claim voucher for $3,000. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
Make a motion, we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes, our first item of business is consider approving entering into the transient guest tax rebate agreement with Ottawa Lodging LLC.
Yeah, as you all will recall, we discussed this Monday at our study session. Tyler was here and kind of explained the mechanics of all of this. A couple of items that came up and that have been addressed. Commissioner Renaud offered the possibility of the other school districts in the county being able to utilize the meeting space that will be offered, and the developer did agree to that. So the language in the agreement itself has been changed so that, you know, West Franklin, Wellsville, Central Heights can also use it. The other concern that came up was the 7-day notice, and we couldn't give any more than that. We have revised that as well to where it's now 30 days. However, the developer can notify us of a cancellation up until 7 days prior. So between 30 days and 7 days, if a hotel patron needs a room at a certain time, then they can cancel that. They reserve that right. But 30 days, I hope, is more palatable to the board.
At least we can put it on the calendar, whether we get to keep it or not. But
That's right.
It's a starting point. It's a good thing.
Sure, absolutely. Nothing else in the agreement has changed at all. Should the board be inclined to execute this agreement, you'll note that there's also a resolution. Well, the resolution approves the execution of the agreement, so we would need to approve the resolution first. To the extent that there's any more questions, Tyler is here again to speak to that. I can speak to that. If not, we had a nice discussion on Monday, and I would turn it over to the board at this point. So.
Well, we've discussed this quite a bit. There's no.
We do have one public comment.
All right, we'll better take that then.
Jean Hurt? Keep me straight today, Dale.
Okay, Gene Hurt, 107 Jefferson Street, Pomona. Okay. Well, this issue's finally coming to a head. Many times as I've brought this up, we hadn't heard anything to what's been brought from the city. And yet, I still have not heard anything from here or from anybody else from the city that tells me what their part is in this. Now, I think the people in this town need to know. And because if we're going to give that much transit gas tax to this hotel, since it's from a guy that says that he uses the word Nebraska to put this hotel in. You know, this hotel chain is not the best to what it says on the internet about it by a number of reasons. Hitting people with extra cost on their credit cards, issues with the rooms, all those things. And our hotels here in town have done a wonderful job throughout all the years. They didn't get no transit gas tax. You know, they've come in here and spoke their piece several times to you. And you really need to, they're honoring to all the events that come to Ottawa. They do everything. They do their backbone on all of it. And they feel it's going to hurt them, and I think they're right. But their cost is much more per room than theirs, though. But the transit gas tax and everything else in the cost, I think you got too much on your plate right now, as I stated Monday, and I still feel that by not proceeding with this at this time, because you've got an industrial park out there that you're wanting to do, millions of dollars. There's a lot of other things, and you know, Steve Cox made that mention about that one item that was on the radio this morning too, about incentive. And so I think that's all, you remember that. And I think all these things need to be looked at. I know that the main thing part when it came out was you wanted a meeting room. You act like there's no meeting rooms around in town, but there is. There is. You got this place here, you've got the places over there at the hospital. Sure, they've got rooms for everybody to be taken care of. The schools, they've got their own places they can hold their meetings. I just think that it's just not the right time to do it. But like I said, it's going to come to a head, but I still think I'd like to know what is the city doing for this. Because it's not been really publicized that I've seen, and I've been on this for quite some time. So I would hope somebody will please do this before you vote, of just what is their part in this. Thank you.
Any questions for Tyler or staff before we look to vote on the resolution? Is there a motion for a resolution of Franklin County, Kansas, approving the execution and delivery of a transient guest tax rebate agreement for a development project within the county? Also, and Express and Suites.
Get a motion? I'll make the motion that we approve the resolution approving the delivery of the transient guest tax rebate agreement for development within the county.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
When I thought about that first, when it first came up, I was definitely opposed to using a guest tax for that purpose. I think I've reconsidered it. I think it'd be good for the community to have a development there and progress there, so I'm going to go ahead and vote yes this time.
Commissioner Howard?
No.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. You have one for the resolution. You need one now for the agreement itself?
Yeah, let's make one for the agreement as well.
All right. Look for a motion to approve the agreement between Ottawa Lodging LLC.
Yeah, just a motion approving the execution of the transient guest tax rebate agreement.
Okay. All right. Is there a motion to that extent?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Howard?
No.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Brings us to our second item of business, which is consider the May 2017 EMS activity report.
Good morning again.
Good morning.
You said I'm here this morning to talk to you about the May write-offs. May was a very good month. We ran 318 responses, averaged 10.26 calls a day, bringing us to 1,517 calls for the year. It's 126 calls over where we were in 2016, so call volumes continuing to incline. Deposits for the month, 123,773.13, so we had very good deposits, revenues, bringing us to having to do 304,840.09 to meet our part of the budget. So it's looking really good for revenues. With large revenues, we have large adjustments. We have adjustments of 58,784.35. We're sending 19,244.64 to the state set-off, 3,297.47 to Midwest Collections, and service fees of 183,551.80. We also had quite a few move-ups. A lot of the calls did come in at the same time, so we had 32 move-ups and multiple times where we had 4 trucks out in the month of May, so pretty busy month. Jumping back to the data report that I give you, we did transport 221 patients to hospitals. 148 of those patients went to our local hospital, which we continue to see an increase there, which is good. 5 patients back to nursing homes. We did have 56 refusals, but that's only a refusal rate of 17% of the responses we went on, so very good numbers for the month of May.
All right. Questions for Nick?
Nick, what would be a low number for move-ups in a month?
Well, when we first started, we were doing about 4 or 5 a month, so what I would consider now is somewhere around 10 to 15. But we're not
Normally it's
seeing that now.
15 or 20, 25?
15 to 20 is probably a good number, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
And is what we do, like I've talked about, with us getting that extra staff person, we're staffed for a little while. We were staffing 8 people, 8 to 5, and then the option of staffing another truck with my administrative staff. We have been successful with that on keeping some of the trucks from coming down, the move-ups from happening, but like I said, the month of May was very busy, and it seems like for some reason that if you hear a call, you can pretty much put a pretty good bet out there. It's just going to be one right after it. And with the number of transfers that we have been doing, longer ones out of the county, the mental health crisis, honest to goodness, is a monster thing. We're taking patients all the way up to St. John's. We've taken them down by Parsons a couple times, so our transfers are going farther for our mental health patients. And I know Matt sitting in the room here can attest to this. It's becoming a strain on a lot of our systems with this problem that we're seeing. When you have a truck that you send that far out, you're going to have more move-ups. You're going to have to do that or call back. So that's why we're seeing a lot of these big things happen.
All right. Was there a motion to accept the May 2017 EMS activity report and financials?
I'll make that motion.
Is there a second?
Commissioner Ogles, Commissioner Renaud,
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby,
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn,
Yes.
Commissioner Howard.
Yes.
Chair Waymire.
Yes.
Again, thank you guys and Derek for everything.
Looking good, Nick.
All right, our next item of business is a rezoning application. Thanks, Nick. Larry Walrod, our Planning and Building Director, is here to introduce it.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman, Commissioners. We have 3 items here this morning for your consideration on rezoning matters that the Planning Commission has held public hearings on. The first of those would be the application filed by Mr. Shoemate to rezone approximately 4.5 acres from an A1 to the R3A, which is a single-family residential zoning district. This includes the acreage that as shown on the survey that's attached as part of your staff report. You'll note that this also includes the residence and some other structures that were on that particular acreage. As I indicated, the Planning Commission held a hearing on this matter at their regular meeting in June. They have forwarded a recommendation to the county commissioners to adopt a resolution approving the rezoning request and authorizing staff to amend the official county zoning map accordingly. I have nothing further to add unless any of you have questions.
Questions for Larry on this one?
It meets all the requirements of the normal residency, the land measurements and so forth.
Yes. In order for me to approve a survey that would be dividing the land, that does have to meet the lot length to width ratio, lot frontage onto a county or state maintained road system, and it does satisfy all that criteria.
No more questions. Is there a motion to approve the rezoning application?
Make the motion.
Second.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. And our next item of business is also a rezoning application. Go ahead, Larry.
As you've indicated, this is also a rezoning of an application that was filed by Mr. Schlosshauer. This would be rezoning approximately 27 acres from the A2 transitional ag zone to the RE residential estate zone. The purpose for that is to allow for the division of this and the sale for the construction of a new residence, at least on one of the tracts at this time. We did find that the applicant has satisfied the criteria for proving that there's on-site water. Meters have been acquired from the rural water district, and therefore it does comply with our comprehensive plan that requires the capabilities of any residential lots being created in the county to have the capabilities of providing a potable water supply. The Planning Commission, again, has forwarded a recommendation to you to adopt a resolution approving the rezoning request and authorizing staff to amend the official county zoning map accordingly.
Will there be another request in when they do the actual split of that into two sections, or is that part of this?
That's all part of it. Once the zoning is approved, I can approve a simple land division, which we call lot split, which is the simplest form of subdivision, if you like. Anything more than that would have to come to the Planning Commission for their approval, and then to the county commissioners for the acceptance of any easements or road right-of-ways that would be affected. But for the just the simple division, I can approve that if it meets all of our other criteria.
Does he have a plan now to chop that up into smaller acres then?
No, the purpose for this was to allow for the sale of 17 acres. So it's going to leave something that's less than 10 acres behind, and that does satisfy the requirements for our RE residential estate zone. And if they wanted to go smaller than that, then they'd have to come back and get a new zoning, because one of the parcels would be less than the minimum of 5 acres.
Is there a motion to approve the rezoning application before us?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. And our next item of business is also rezoning application. Larry's still here. Go ahead, Larry.
This is a request filed by Laurie's to rezone approximately 15 acres from an A1 to the RE residential estate zone. The purpose of this was be to allow the refinancing. They're requesting to refinance, particularly where the existing house is on the 15 acres. The remainder of that tract will be rezoned to the A2 zoning district because it no longer meets the minimum 40 acres required for the A1 zoning district. Again, the Planning Commission held their hearing on this matter in June and have forwarded a recommendation to the county commissioners for the approval of the rezoning request and authorizing staff to amend the official county zoning map according to the rezoning.
Questions on this one?
Larry, this seems like quite a bit of it's in a floodplain on this property. Does that make any difference?
It really doesn't affect the rezoning on this because the existing house is already constructed, and it might in the future, if somebody wanted to utilize another part of that larger tract, the 27 acre tract or whatever it is, that might have some issues, but we feel that there would still be a building site on that would be adequate to accommodate at least a new one single-family residence anyway.
Right. Anyone would like to make a motion to approve the rezoning application before us?
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Our sixth item of business is to discuss and designate a voting delegate and 2 alternate delegates for the 42nd Annual County Kansas Association of Counties Conference. Guess we should start with who's going.
When is that? I was trying to find that.
November 14 through 16.
I'm not.
Is that a Tuesday through Thursday now, I think?
That's in Olathe.
You're registered?
Yes.
I'm planning on attending.
I believe it's at the Overland Park Sheridan, like it was last year.
So Rick Oglesby, Randy, and Roy are planning on going, for sure.
Probably.
You're considering it?
That's a long time advance for me.
All right.
I'll volunteer to be a delegate,
All right.
a voting delegate.
Okay, and then Rick Oglesby, and would you be
Alternate, yeah.
an alternate? All right, so is everyone okay with that? Do we need to vote for this?
I would.
Okay, so looks like a motion.
So just to clarify, Roy is going to be the delegate, and then Commissioner Oglesby and Commissioner Renaud will be the alternates.
I gathered yet?
What?
Is that what you agreed to?
That's tradition.
Okay.
All right, is there a motion to that extent?
Make the motion.
Is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. Our seventh item of business deals with the purchase of bridge plank and sheet pile.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
The department intends to phase out wood bridge plank. The purchase on this order would replace the wood planks on 3 bridges. The sheet pile will be used to form wing walls on various bridges in order to keep the road surface from sloughing off down in the stream bank. The request is a motion approving the Wellborn sales quotation in the amount of $12,457.25.
Any value to the wood planks that come out?
We usually have a place to use them.
How we drive the sheet pile?
Bucket on the track hoe.
Oh,
Not much banging, more pushing.
more pushing than banging. Any questions for Jim? There a motion to approve?
I'll make the motion, we approve the bid from Welborn Sales.
Second.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes. Our eighth item of business is also with Public Works and deals with a supplemental agreement. Jim will elaborate on the details.
KDOT and Franklin County executed the original agreement for the Idaho Road Slope Repair Project on September 30th of 2016. Supplemental Agreement Number 1 increases the maximum federal funds from the original $24,400 to $70,229. The request is a motion approving execution of Supplemental Agreement Number 1.
Questions for Jim on this?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Chair Waymire?
Yes. Our ninth item of business deals with the public hearing and upgrading Finney Road to full maintenance. Jim will discuss the details, and I'll open the public hearing.
The department received a letter from Doug Racky requesting the Board of County Commissioners consider returning Finney Road to full maintenance. He desires to construct a residence and is prohibited by Resolution 06-075 from obtaining a building permit on a minimum maintenance road. Resolution 0804 details the steps to upgrade a minimum maintenance road. Holding a public hearing is item 2B. The request is a motion opening a public hearing to consider the upgrade of Finney Road from Utah Road a quarter of a mile west.
So we're looking for a motion to have a public hearing.
Open the public hearing.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? We'll open the public hearing. Would anyone like to speak on the upgrading of Finney Road to full maintenance from Utah west a quarter mile?
If you just want to come on up and speak at the mic before you speak, please state your name so I can write it down. Just feel free to come on up.
Let's start in the front row, or go ahead if somebody, sometimes it's hard to get that first one.
Dennis Harkins. I'm the landowner on the south side of the road for the first eighth mile of this. I have no real benefit from having the road upgrading, but I do have a pond, a spring-fed pond that's right next to the road that encroaches, maybe even passes a section line. This road might be upgraded too, and I would like to keep my source of water. This road was originally built 20 feet north of the section line because of a hedgerow that was in there at that time in 1899. But I purchased my property with the eye that I got non-potable water that could be used for livestock watering or irrigation garden. And this could take it away. So I like it to be considered in this arrangement. I don't mind giving more property, easement, but I'd like to keep a pond.
Do you have a second pond on your property somewhere?
There is a second pond, but it goes dry before the gardens start to wilt. It has a very small area to fill it from, and it leaks.
Is the pond, the dam part of is on that corner on the northeast corner of the pond? It flows to the east, right? Your slope of your pond, I'm thinking of the hill there. I guess what I really want to know is it possible to move the pond back away from the road enough that the dam was moved back or whatever to move the road? That's the question.
I think so. Now, this pond is a dugout pond. There's no real dam on it. There wasn't any dam, it was dug out.
Okay, yeah, right. I see what you're saying. Okay. All right.
Jim, will this affect that pond? Have you been out there and looked at the?
It may. We would try to limit it to the maximum extent possible.
If it would.
But you are willing to give an easement if, as long as you can keep a pond, is what you're saying?
That's right.
Okay.
All right. Anyone else?
Hi, I'm Rod Leach. I live at 4237 Finney Road, Rantoul. I own the property on the north side of that. And back when they built this road, they moved it like 45 foot to the north and proceeded west for a quarter mile, then it made a hard left back to the original road. Since then, the neighbor across the road, or the property across the road, has been sold. The guy wants to sell it. It's got a water meter on it. And my wish is to upgrade that minimum maintenance road, which is almost, because of the trees, impassable right now. When you try to pull a trailer or a camper out, you can't hardly get in and out of it. And my desire is to, when you're standing in the Utah Road and look west, you see the same road for a quarter mile as if you turn around and look east at it. So in turn, it needs to move, to get on a section line, it needs to move 45 foot to the south, which would take digging ditches. There's no ditches at all. The water runs down the middle of the road. In the wintertime, I clean the road because when it snows, I've pushed snow 6-8 foot drifts out of there, pile them on the barbed wire fence just so I can get in and out of my driveway. And since this property come up for sale in the last few months, people come out and look at it, a lot of people. So they park in the middle of the road. I'm getting ready to go somewhere. I can't get out my driveway, so I'll sit there 30, 40 minutes, maybe an hour, wait for them to quit walking around the field and looking at it. So my desire is to upgrade it full maintenance back to where it would survey out straight, and eventually that 20 acres across the road could be split again. And then we'd have two neighbors on that property, or if somebody west wanted to upgrade and pay for the upgrade, there's another 80 right there, which they could split up several times and put more roads in, or more residences in. So that was my desire here.
Rob, the traffic that goes past your house on the dirt part of it, it would include what?
Oh, shoot. Farmers, semi-trucks hauling cattle, tractors, hay equipment, tillable equipment. And then one day I was sitting in the house and there was about a foot of snow on the ground. And I looked out and there's a semi went flying down that road. Well, his GPS told him it's a through road. Well, he got down there about a quarter mile further and that's where he stopped. So I had to go pull him out. And that happens quite a bit. The minimum maintenance sign really don't mean nothing to them because it looks pretty fair until they get a quarter mile. When they get that quarter mile, pulling a 45-foot trailer, there's no way to do nothing. They can't turn around. They got to back out that quarter mile. So that would be my desire on this road.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else?
Good morning, Doug Radke, 4246 Finney. I'm the owner of the property in question. And I am shaking here because I've never spoken like this before, so forgive my nervousness. First of all, I'd like to thank the commission, Chairman Waymeyer and the rest of the commission for accepting my request on the agenda today. In addition, I'll note that Mr. Haig has been extremely responsive, not only in calling me back quickly, but taking the time to educate me about this process, because I've never been through it before, so wanted to note that first. And in addition, my two neighbors who have spoken, I appreciate their concerns because I believe that everyone has a right for the peaceful use of their property, and knowing their concerns is important to me as well. The facts: I bought this property about 3 years ago for two reasons: short-term enjoyment while my children were at home to sneak away on the weekend, and then long-term with the hope of building on the property. I've got one child still left in school, so I'm still in that short-term phase. The second part is I've got a wife who is I'll call her a city girl, that the 10 by 10 structure on it that has no facilities, no air conditioning, she won't come out with me for my peaceful weekend enjoyments, which is unfortunate, but 25 years of marriage will teach you that you have to accommodate your better half's desires. So without an upgrade to the road, I can't build a structure. And without an upgrade to the road, every interested party, as I've tried to sell it, which my realtor's here, I've tried to buy a 10-piece of acre that had a trailer on it that my wife would go to. Without getting the upgrade, I've had difficulty selling the property. So I'm kind of in that stuck point. I don't want to take away Dennis's pond. I had no idea if Jim's group can help him with that. Today was the first time I've heard that anyone's ever blocked the driveway of my neighbor. And if I'd known that, my realtor here, I'm sure he would have expediently contacted those parties and said, please move. There are two properties to the north of me on Finney, and they've been there. I don't know when it was moved back to minimum maintenance, but they're there already, and they're grandfathered in that they can have homes there without being upgraded. I just can't do it. I've got a quote for a 2,400 square foot home, 3-bedroom, called the Farmhouse from QSI. Rural District Water 6 put a meter in there 6 months ago, or actually started the process 6 months ago. I had the survey from Water Systems Engineering to find out if I needed to put a septic system or if I needed to do a pond. So I've done those things, and now I'm in the stuck area. I either need something so I can build, or I'd like to sell it so I can buy something in Franklin County that has a structure, because I've never built my own home before. My job and my daughter being in college still has kept me from doing that. So I'm respectfully requesting this, and I understand there's concerns, and I want them to be met from my neighbors, and I mean no ill will. I think we can find a reasonable solution. So I'm hopeful today that you'll consider my request, and that I'll pay for my portion, which I think Mr. Hague has pointed out what the rock would be, and that we can do this so that everyone's needs can be met. So I appreciate your time today, and if there's any, answer them.
You have no problem giving an easement to have the road move back to the original section line?
What I did was, and to that point, I don't think so. I actually made a request to, and I don't know the gentleman, I've never met in person. There's a Brian Cates, I believe, that does the surveying. And he said he's backed up, but in the next few weeks, he was going to get out there and do the survey, so I would understand that. I know Mr. Leach made comments about where that original line was. If you move it to the north, does it affect Dennis's pond? That's where I don't know what the right trade-off is.
So your property that you have, you're okay with, the water line is not in the road?
No, it's actually on my property. I have to give an
Back
easement.
far enough that we can move the road back to its original position on your property?
That's the point I don't know, because I don't know what the original line was. I know where Rural Water District put the water line on my property and wants me to give the easement to them so they can service it. But I can't answer your question because I don't know. That's why I contacted Mr. Cates to say, can we just find out what those parameters are to do that? So I don't have a problem with it, but I don't know the answer of whether that's realistic and will it affect Dennis's pond. And so that's why I'm not trying to be evasive, but I'd like to be accommodative, but I just don't know what the answer is, where it really stands, if that's true or not. There's a tree line there, but I don't know where what would happen. But conceptually, I have no problem with it. So hopefully that answers, sorry, long-winded answer.
If expenses were greater than what are on your letter here to accommodate this road and move tree lines and create ditches or whatever, or is that part of something that you're willing to fund as well?
I'd like to understand what the cost is. As you might appreciate, if someone came back with a large bill, I can't afford another property with a structure on it. I don't have that type of wealth. So I want to understand it, but I'd be receptive because I don't want unhappy neighbors, whether it's for me or whether I would sell it and buy that other house. I just would like to understand that first, but I don't see that being a problem.
Per the resolution here, the board has 30 days to consider this matter. I would offer that in the next 30 days, Jim and I, primarily Jim, frankly, could work with him on figuring out what this might look like in terms of where the section line is, what the costs might be, because I want the landowner to know, I want the neighbors to know, and I think the board needs significantly more information in order to make a decision on this. So
I agree.
I would encourage you to take some time and let staff work on this and bring this back to your attention.
I don't disagree. I think that's fair for all parties involved.
All right. So would we, after we close the public hearing, need a motion to table it?
No
I would
action.
make a motion to close the public hearing, and then, we don't need any more.
Okay.
Before we do that, I'll just make a comment. I mean, I've been out there several times on it, even before this issue came up, another issue there. My thoughts are, if we're going to upgrade a road from minimum maintenance to regular maintenance, full maintenance, whatever it's called, that we would be silly to do that and not put it on where it belongs. Why make a mistake, a worse mistake by doing that? And I know there's some culverts that have to be replaced or 20-foot. His pond obviously is an issue. There's one utility pole on the corner. So I think the cost would be something that we'll have to look at. But that's just, I agree, we close the hearing and then go from there. But there are some issues to be addressed there.
To answer your question, the only cost to the landowner, according to the resolution, is to pay for the equivalent of 1,000 tons per mile the first year, 500 tons of rock the second year, which approximates $2,400 at today's cost. We're not allowed under the resolution to charge either labor or equipment.
Right, but we would need to know what that cost is going to be if we would decide to move it. That would be my concern. I want to know what it's going to cost the county if we have to move the road 40 feet to the south or 20 feet to the south.
The original road was open 20 foot north of the section line. The existing road easement is based on the center of it being 20 foot north of the section line.
So they're not gonna line up unless we buy a bunch of easement, 20 foot of easement for a mile. Well, I guess a quarter to do this, but
Even if they give us the easement, the cost of putting in the rock over there will be, well, whatever's talked, to move the trees, to move the line. There's no utility lines on that. If the water line is not there, there's no utility lines on that side unless it's a telephone line that I'm unaware of. But I just think it's gonna cost the county, obviously, other than there's just not adding rock to a rock road.
Yes.
Yeah.
There would be cost to the county for the labor and equipment
Yes.
to shape the road, haul the rock.
this would be similar to what we do when we rebuild other roads in the county every summer, right? Be the same process as when we go around and,
Yes,
which is something we have equipment and,
yes.
I mean, it's a public road and there's public use. This isn't the only gentleman that would potentially benefit from it, so I guess there is some logic in using public funds to improve a public road.
And may I ask a question?
Yeah.
If it's a 30-day consideration period, will they come back to do a resolution for another meeting? I don't understand the process, how that would follow, which Mr. Brown's suggesting. I'm not against that. How would that play out?
We would just at that point make a decision, yes or no.
Okay, got it.
So, yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
So what additional information, I guess, at this point would we need? We know
Chair
what-
Waymeyer, I think we probably need to ask if there's anybody else who wants
Oh,
to
sorry. I
speak.
Didn't realize there, anyone else?
I would like to come up with municipal. I got a survey of this property and might save him some money, so he don't have to get a survey that, I don't know who I'd present it to, but it shows the 45-foot offset and the corner of the section. Do you want it, or?
Staff can look at that.
I was gonna
after
say,
the-
that'd be something for, would you mind giving it to Jim? He could probably cipher it. Jim and Larry could probably.
That's the first quarter, and all it shows the only 6 foot off. So it's really actually over the easement if there's a 45-foot easement. The road, it shows the roadway, it shows the section line, and that's a survey I had conducted in 2004.
Okay.
Basically, I think it's Dennis, is that the name? Has the first quarter mile, eighth of a mile on the south side. Mr. Radke has the next eighth of a mile. Your neighbor Greg has the first eighth mile on the north side, and you have the next eighth mile on the north side.
Mine's a little more, his a little less.
Okay, but yeah, the quarter mile there, okay.
All right, let's take our next public comment. Come on up. Good morning. If you would state your name and address.
Greg Gay, 4275 Finney. Ooh, that's a hot mic. I just wanted to say, my preference is to get 30 feet of my property back. My property line is 30 feet on the other side of the road. It would be nice to have, now I bought my property knowing where my property lines were, okay? I like the property. I lose about an acre. You know, it's 30 feet for 600 feet. So, but the one thing I just wanted to say is just a legal comment. What I just said, I knew where my property lines were, and I bought the property. We probably wouldn't be here today if the person who's put this up for hearing today knew where his property lines were. I would have taken a good look at that. The property lines are off the road. Just something to consider. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Do you have anyone else who would like to speak on this?
Gene Hurt, 107 Jefferson Street in Pomona, Kansas. Well, the reason I'm speaking here is, and I hear all these people that speak and what their needs are and everything, but I think that since I've got the most experience in this room about minimum maintenance roads, right, Mr. Waymeyer? Yeah. See, then I want to explain to these people how this program and how this change and this $2,400 got around. Because years ago, Jed Hermrich lived over by Williamsburg. They gave him a building permit, and it was a minimum maintenance road that had been full maintenance back in the early 1980s. Now, you have to have a full maintenance road if you have a house built on any part of a minimum maintenance road, whether it's off center or whatever, okay? And this got changed because of what happened to Jed and his family. At that time, before this $2,400, as Mr. Haig has said, people had to pay $30,000 to bring up a minimum quarter of a mile of minimum maintenance road, which road had been already taxed before. So, with what they did wrong, the county did, not some of these members here on the board now, but I went to Topeka, and we got this changed of this $30,000 and the mistake that was made for Jed and his family, where they were not allowed to have ambulance service, all of those items. Mail, nothing, because it was minimum maintenance and it got so muddy and everything that Jed had to take his family to town. Now, so we went to, at that time was Bill Otto, who was our representative in Topeka. And I went there with the evidence I had in my hand. And when he saw what had happened, he said, I'm going to let you take a letter back to the county commissioners, and you read this letter before the county commissioners. And he said, if you don't change this road situation, I will do it for you. And I read it, okay? So after that got read and stated, then the county decided that it was best that they better do something of changing it. So then, that's how the program got to where all the people, just like Mr. Hague stated a while ago, you only have to pay for the gravel to bring it up to full maintenance. What are you smiling about? I mean, it's fact. And you have to, and the county has to foot the bill of culverts, everything, whistles, everything, because there's been other places that have had minimum maintenance roads just even outside west of Ottawa, Mr. Waymeyer, and that they had to take care of those as well, okay? So I want these people to know it would have been worse if we hadn't got that done because of the county doing bad things to people out there. And so I think it's a good thing that these people would have to work this problem out, whatever their easements on each property. But $2,400 is a considerable less than $30,000 as it was back then. Because I had that experience and I did that because that was the county doing something wrong to somebody and his family. That's all I got.
Okay. What would be your recommendation, I guess, moving forward?
Well, first, let's make a motion to close the public hearing, and then we
Okay. Would anyone else at all like to speak before we do that? Okay.
I'll make a motion, then we close the public hearing on Finney Road.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed?
My recommendation would be, per the resolution, you have 30 days to consider this. I would like some time to sit down with Jim and Larry and look at this, discuss the situation with the interested parties. We could then come back and make a more educated presentation to the board, which is not to say at all that, you know, if there was anything improper today. I think it went great, but I think now is the time to potentially involve the surveyor and just look at what all of our options are. Certainly, I think the pond is certainly a very important consideration, and I just don't know where that is, like where legally, where it is described, where it sits on the earth. So I would say just give us some time, and when we're ready, we'll put it back on an agenda for your consideration.
That sounds very logical. Would everyone else be in favor of that? I see heads yes. All right then. Our 10th item of business would be consider approving waiving the dump fees for the annual Power of the Past show.
It's my understanding that this is something that the board routinely does. We received a letter from David Reeves requesting just that the board waive the fees. So if you have any other questions?
We've done this ever since I've been on the commission. I think it's a good thing. They bring a lot of people. It's a good thing. And if there's no other comments, I'll make the motion that we waive the fees for the dump fees for the Power of the Past.
All right, is there a second?
Second.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. All right, our 11th item of business is consider approving the calendar year 2018 holiday schedule for the county.
Yeah, this is something we also discussed at Monday's study session. A request was made of staff to try and ascertain how much it would cost for a county to take a holiday, what that effectively costs. So it costs about $50,000 a day. And that this is a rough estimate. And talking with our HR director, about $50,000 a day to staff a normal working day. Holidays, because we pay time and a half, and we do have a segment of our employees that have to work, your emergency services personnel, it costs in the neighborhood of $17,000 additional to do that. So if you were to attribute a cost, it would be about that to take a holiday. So with that, I'll get back to the schedule. Our proposal here exactly matches the state's. It has 12 days instead of 11, and as we discussed Monday, where this deviates from what we normally do is it does include Columbus Day. The state, pretty much, as far as I know, they always include Columbus Day. Where the state added an extra day in 2018 was Christmas falls on a Tuesday, so they took Christmas Eve and made it a holiday on that Monday, so that is their extra day. I would take any questions from the board.
The additional cost is just the overtime. The other cost is we're just losing that in productivity, if you want to look at it that way, by giving a vacation day, but it's not an additional cost.
Right, the true additional cost
It's
is
just the overtime.
17 grand
Yeah,
roughly.
right.
We're gonna pay the 50 regardless because we would be paying it anyway.
I'm in favor of doing that simply from a standpoint that I think that's one benefit we can give our employees that is a plus. And there's so many dates with the state that different departments are going to be unproductive without the state being open on those dates. So from my standpoint, I'm okay with those dates, just from that view.
I can't get behind Columbus Day. I think it's a ridiculous day to take off. Somebody comes here, wants to access services, they can't because it's Columbus Day. I think it's embarrassing to me, but I won't vote for it.
Well, what I had thought is if we had a floating work day, which would be a nightmare for the county probably, but, 11 plus a 12th one that each department could depend on when and where, whoever, people take, whatever. But, yeah, I mean, to me, Good Friday might be more important than Columbus Day. I mean, there's a lot of dates that, yeah, I can understand that.
We could work. Anyone else?
Yeah, I kind of have mixed feelings on it too. A few years ago, we went through where we discussed sick days and vacation days and so forth, and we tried and did keep the vacation days up pretty good. So a lot of people have the vacation days that we had actually discussed cutting back, and we didn't. So, and I talked to a lot of people at times get towards the end of the year and they're having to take vacation days to get them used. So I kind of have mixed feelings about adding another holiday for the 17,000 when most people have plenty of vacation days and are able to use them if they need an extra day off at any time. So,
And just for edification, I don't believe that most of our employment base is facing that difficulty of having to use vacation days. There are certainly employees that are in that situation.
I mean, not
who
all
have
of
been
them.
here for quite some time, but that's not a common issue that we have for what it's worth.
I'm all right going with the state, same as the state.
I mean, what the board might consider doing is, if there's support for the current proposal, then we can make a motion and see if it passes. If it doesn't pass, then it will fail, and a subsequent motion can be made, perhaps excising Columbus Day, and we can see if that passes. But I would like to get something hammered out here today, so.
Because the only other thing I'd point out before that is, we've made a very conceited effort in the last few years with the pay plan, with just keeping up with raises every year. We budgeted for that. I mean, we've done our part to be good employers. It's unfortunate the cost of rising healthcare, but that's not in our control. So I guess just to do it because we want to be good employers, it's a nice thought, but ultimately we have services we need to deliver, and just don't know that it comes down to that one day, but I just don't know. I think we have been reasonable. It's not unreasonable to ask somebody to work on Columbus Day. So is there a motion for the plan in front? What?
I guess another option could be, you could ask for a motion either for this current proposal or a proposal that does not include Columbus Day. If there is a feel on the board about which you'd rather go and which would pass, then I would say make that motion.
All right. Who wants to speak first? Make a motion for the plan?
I'll make a motion, we go with the state plan just to see what happens.
Right. We have a motion in front of us then. We need to look for a second.
Second.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
No.
Chair Waymeyer?
No. All right. Okay. Before, I guess we lose people in the crowd, are we going to notify them when we do make a decision? Randy's asked on the road, when we do put it back on the agenda?
The 4 landowners that are there, I mean, there's 4 landowners involved. If those 4 would be notified or something, I mean,
We can do that out of courtesy. I mean,
yeah, that's
give
what I'm
the
thinking of. is
entire general
Just let them
public.
know that we'll try to do that. I mean, I know, I can make sure they get the word or whatever. I mean, I just want to make sure. I didn't want them sitting around here waiting to find out how they might.
Yeah,
keep track of that.
it would be, and I am A-okay with it, it would be a special courtesy because it won't be another public hearing
Right,
that
just be an agenda item.
requires statutory notice. It would just be us. So, yeah,
Or they just need to check the agenda every week.
Right, and we always post our agendas for general public consumption as well.
So it'll be on a Wednesday for sure, just to check the
Probably
agenda.
at least 3 weeks, if not 4 weeks out. But, yeah.
If you'd like notified, maybe if you could leave your contact information with the clerk, that would sure help us get a hold of you. So we'd appreciate that. 12th item of business is consider hiring Jeff Hyman of Stevens and Brand LLP to conduct the 2017 tax sale.
This was an item we discussed at a previous study session. You'll recall, Mr. Hyman came down and we had a nice discussion about tax sales. He discussed his firm's experience with tax sales. Stevens and Brand represents several municipalities. They have a special government rate that they charge municipalities. Given the number of properties on a tax sale, we avoid a lot of potential conflict of interest issues by utilizing Stevens and Brand. I am here, I guess, asking for the board's approval to consider hiring him to conduct this year's tax sale.
Any questions? All right. Is there a motion to approve?
I make the motion to approve hiring this firm to do the tax sale.
Second.
Commissioner Oglesby?
Yes.
Commissioner Dunn?
Yes.
Commissioner Howard?
Yes.
Commissioner Renaud?
Yes.
Chair Waymeyer?
Yes. That brings us to staff reports.
Yeah, we are, Janet and Joy and I have been working on the budget along with Rodney and coming along very nicely. But for me being out next week, we might very well be in a position to present. However, the clerk will be out next week as well, and it's not looking like we'll have a meeting. But it is very possible that the week after we will have a draft in front of you for your review. But we're getting near the end of the road on that. I think we're shooting for first or second week in August to have our hearing. And the way it's going, I think we're right on target to do that. So we're all excited about that. I've sent an email to the board, but on the 27th, there is a groundbreaking for Proximity Park at 10 a.m. And we're still working out the details, but tentatively what I believe is going to occur is we will meet there on the property to take pictures and do the gold shovel ceremony, and then we'll reconvene at the municipal airport to have a little celebration and listen to some folks talk about it. The request has been made. I mean, obviously, I think it's very important for the commissioners to attend the event. A request was made, Colton, that the chair speak about the industrial park. And basically just wanted to put you on notice that that's coming down the pipe. So as I get more details and they get pinned down, I will certainly pass them along to you. So I do not believe I have anything else today, so.
On the hearing, typically when I looked at the schedule, did the city do theirs at like the same evening or something like that when we've done our hearing and our budget hearing? The reason I bring it up is August 9 is the Farm Bureau annual meeting, and I don't know if Roy goes to that or not, but that's, when I looked at the calendar, I thought, okay, that's probably the date everybody's gonna pick is August 9. And,
I believe we usually try to do like a Tuesday or a Thursday, so I don't
Okay.
know that it
not on
doesn't have to be Wednesday. I mean,
Okay.
we definitely can be mindful of whatever date. In the past couple of years, the city has tried to do theirs on the same day as ours, just so people are out and about and they can come to one or the other. Sometimes they kind of overlap a little bit, so it makes it difficult to go to both. So I think we could definitely coordinate with the city and find out what their plan is and see what works best. So we'll just mark that down, Derek and I, to try to stay away from that 9th for you guys. We will be mindful of the 10-day publication notice that we have to adhere to too. So we'll be looking at that to get a date set.
All right. Janet, Jim, anything for staff reports?
No, sir.
Nothing? All right, commissioners' comments, board reports.
We'll start, first off, being if we're not gonna have a meeting, I'll just let you know now, I will be gone the last week of July, so I will miss the 24th study session, the 26th, commission meeting, and I will not be there for the proximity park, so someone else can have my gold shovel. So, anyway, I attended Waynesburg City Commission meeting was last Monday night. I attended that. In their old business, they talked about their air conditioning at the library. They are tearing down their shelter house in the park and building a new one. The rec department is putting the money forward to do that. They're going to have their streets sealed by a company out of Ottawa, up Main Street on both sides. They're getting ready to start their wastewater project. The company's starting to get their equipment there and get organized to get that started. And they discussed changing, or their budget works session. It was set for tonight due to one of their council members passing away. That was changed. I'm not sure what date they agreed on finally for that. Their new business, they talked about their budget hearing. They appointed an animal control officer. And probably the main thing, or most important thing, there was a gentleman there. They've been discussing building a couple senior duplexes in Williamsburg. They've been working with Osage County on this, and it appears that that's all coming together. And they had a gentleman there to talk about what these duplexes would be like, how the qualifications for getting in one of them. And he talked like they're going to start the groundbreaking somewhere in September in that time frame. And that was it, and that's all I've been to since the last meeting.
Randy?
Well, since our last meeting, we didn't have one in the first meeting. I went to the city council meeting in Wellsville last June. They discussed not allowing dogs at the Saddle Club Park and that type of ordinance. The water tower needing some repair work and repainting, doing work on the top of the water tower. The radios that affects the whole county, they talked about that from the police department and coming up with the funds for that. Then the last Monday night, I went to the city of Rantoul's city council meeting, and they discussed their park situation. They had a 4th of July celebration, discussed moving playground equipment, restoring the concession stand to some degree of keeping rodents out, use of the city equipment, storage of the city equipment, and had several people speak on their agenda and so forth. Quite a discussion there. And then yesterday I went to the Wellsville Chamber of Commerce meeting, talked about their upcoming golf tournament, July the 29th, looking for for teams that would like to play in the golf tournament. And their car show is the last Friday of August, which is August 25th, and that has grown immensely as well. And both those events support some of the chamber events and their Christmas lights and so forth.
No report.
I haven't been anywhere, but the Richmond Fair is coming up this weekend, and Ottawa Fair is coming up next weekend. And one thing we haven't heard from for quite some time is the Extension Council. I think I think we ought to invite them in to give a report on what's going on with the Extension Council.
All right. Anything either, or if no one else has anything to add, look for a motion to adjourn.
Oh, just, is joint and city county school board luncheon still on for the 19th? You're not going to be here, Jess not going to be here, no meeting. Is it still on?
I believe, I mean, the primary purpose of those meetings is for the governing bodies to be together. So, yeah, I would assume, since most of the governing bodies are available, yeah, it'll still be on, so.
Is that the school district this time?
That's what it says on here.
Right.
I mean,
Now I'll give you the motion to adjourn.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? We're adjourned.